I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corky Schick.
And I am Matt A.K. Stormageddon.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, we're
What's
doing
up?
it again.
Back on our bullshit.
Remember how I said last episode I might bring on a certain movie, and then we recorded 2 episodes within less than a week of each other? Well, that magic may happen. Yay.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm rocking some weird synergy between my 2 podcasts at this moment.
Nice.
So.
Excellent. I'm really excited. Our guest is the one and only Abu Zafar. Abu, welcome.
Great to be here, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining us.
So I met
Anytime.
Abu through Reignite and our mutual love of Mass Effect.
Very cool.
Abu,
Very good.
among many other talents, is the mastermind behind Lore Party Podcast Network. And we'll get more into that a little later, but that's how we met. Lore Party has their own Discord. They do a ton of video game-related deep dives into the stories and lore of many games. There was one of the more recent episodes that I listened to is about the Great Pokemon War and how there are no adults in the Pokemon world, which is like, if you think about it, like all the adults either have really government-focused jobs or are the one parent of the children. Like the children never have a mom and a dad. It's always one because a bunch of these adults went off to fight this great war. It's really kind of mind-boggling and brilliant.
Yeah, we're particularly proud of that episode. It's the dark side of Pokemon that no one wants to talk about. It's there.
It's funny because there are hints of that in Game Theory. If you've ever watched Game Theory, they've done some episodes on Pokemon and like that maybe the Pokemon were once human and that nonsense.
I don't like that. That's
Terrible.
That
There's so many
freaks me
theories.
out.
The theory I dislike the most is Ash is in a coma the entire time.
Oh, God.
I'm not here for
Doing
that
like
theory.
some weird Jacob's Ladder stuff. No, thank you.
So we'll deep dive more into Lore Party and the other things you do on the second half of this episode. But as always, we're going to start by talking about the things we watched most recently. And as super well predicted, I am going to talk about the Sonic movie.
There it is.
Because I will talk about it to anyone who will listen to me talk about it.
I have also seen the Sonic movie. We watched it together.
We did. One of the first movies I think we've seen together since we started Screen Snark.
Yeah. We're really good at this.
We're so good at being friends outside of a podcast. Yes, Rachel and I and previous guest John Henry all went to see it, and I had a blast watching it. I don't think I'll spoil a lot because there's really not a lot to spoil besides like the one or two big fan servicey things. But I just will say that I actually genuinely enjoyed it. My recommendation to anyone who wants to go see it is if you're a fan of Sonic and you grew up watching Jim Carrey, as I did, both growing up playing those games and growing up watching Jim Carrey in comedy, it's the perfect movie for you. If you can like kind of let go of the critical thinking a little bit and just have a good time, you'll have a good time. That said, if you're going to see an expertly crafted video game movie, that's not this one.
No.
Go watch the movie I talked about last week. Dragon Quest: Your Story. That's probably better.
I watched Dragon Quest: Your Story.
What'd you think
That's
of
on
it?
my list too.
I think in the same way that I was with Sonic, I feel like since I didn't know the game very well, I feel like I missed something really important. Because you did not say that movie, Dragon Quest: Your Story, just breaks so bad at the end. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah, let's not ruin it for Abu. But yeah, no, I didn't. Well, I didn't bring that up. You didn't miss anything. I didn't bring that up because I hadn't finished the movie yet. I was like 10 minutes towards the end, but I wouldn't have spoiled.
Right.
But I wouldn't have spoiled it anyway. But yeah, if you've played Dragon Quest V and you really like, or you like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy and those kinds of games, I highly recommend that still. But yeah, so the Sonic movie.
The Sonic movie.
Fans.
The movie starring Sonic the Hedgehog, Blue Hedgehog, who goes very fast.
Goes very fast.
She goes very fast.
One of my proudest things, actually, about going to see it with you is that you genuinely enjoyed it, not being a huge Sonic fan.
Did.
And I think that's really neat.
it was fine and fun.
Okay, because I was going to ask, you had your 2 stipulations earlier. If you like Jim Carrey and if you're a fan of Sonic, go see this movie. I was going to say, what if, like me, you are neither of those things? is this still a movie you could enjoy?
Sure.
If you
Do you
go in
like-
with like
do you
pretty
like
low
seeing-
expectations.
Do you like seeing kids movies? Do you like watching like Pixar stuff and like
Yeah,
like
of course.
Then I think you might enjoy it. It's a simplistic cookie cutter film.
Safe.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you're going to be blown away, you'll probably be disappointed, but if you're just going to have a good time at a silly movie, I
Yeah.
think you'll enjoy it. I mean, Jim Carrey's
It's-
performance is worth watching even if you know nothing about Sonic.
Yeah, but if you don't want to sit for what, like 90 minutes with this movie about a blue guy who goes real fast, I'm sure you can just wait for the YouTube supercut of all of the Jim Carrey moments.
That's
so
also true.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Was Jim Carrey a standout portion of the movie though?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he was doing a lot of the like that old school like frenetic kind of wackadoo energy, but like with the years that he's put on as an actor. So it's something a little different. If you like appreciated Liar Liar or Ace Ventura,
Yeah.
I think you'd get some appreciation out of it. I used to love Jim Carrey, but I can kind of take him or leave him sometimes now. And
That's
while
fair.
I thought he was really fun in the movie, whatever. He's just a dude.
Yeah.
At this point, he's just a dude.
Yeah, I think that my big recommendation points would be like, I think all of the human actors do a good job. I think James Marsden does a really great job.
Yeah,
I think
James is great.
I think the supporting cast does a really good job. Like, I don't think anyone's winning any awards for their performances, but they're not bad. Like, they're not bad performances. Like, it's not Mario Brothers
Yeah.
bad. It's not Double Dragon bad. It's not Tomb Raider bad. Like, there's definitely...
But it's not Detective Pikachu good.
Correct. I'd say that the performance of the CGI characters are close. Ben Schwartz is a phenomenal Sonic the Hedgehog. I think that because of, I can't remember his name, Craig something, who's the voice of Sonic in the games these days. Like, there was a lot of uproar about him not playing the character in the movie,
Yeah.
but the way that this character is meant to portray, hiring this improv comedian, I think there was a lot of moments that were really genuine and of heart that really stand out.
Yeah.
Like, the humor isn't always good. He flosses twice, not once or three times, which Rachel's complained about on multiple podcasts.
Listen,
Rule
if
of
you're going
threes.
to do it 3 times. Like, follow comedy. What are we doing? He only
Commit
flossed
to the bit
twice.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Right.
like you do it once, then it's like, okay, yeah, obviously this release date was changed and the floss was very funny. And then he does it the second time, but there's no third time. It's a tragedy. It's the great tragedy of 2020. To be honest, like nothing will be as bad as that.
Yeah.
What is unless this gets into spoiler territory, you don't have to answer the question, but I'm wondering, what is the actual premise of the movie outside of Blue Hedgehog that goes fast? Like, is there a plot?
Yeah. So there is, it's not super spoilery. So the plot in a nutshell is that Sonic used to live on his home planet, which I don't think they say by name. It's Mobius in the cartoon and the comics, but I don't know if they mention it. But anyway, he's attacked and has to run away. And so he goes to Earth as a refuge. As a refugee, to seek refuge. That would be the correct sentence. And he stays there in secret for like 5 years, 10 years. And,
However many years.
and he ends up doing something careless that shorts out half the eastern seaboard, and then people are looking for him, and he's trying to just escape and get away. And so the plot of the movie is more or less he's trying to not get captured by Robotnik. He's trying to get away and escape, and due to a series of unforeseen circumstances, James Marsden gets wrapped up in it. His character, Tom Wazowski, who's a cop in
A sheriff.
a sheriff in a small town, who's kind of bored but passed the exam to get into the San Francisco Police Department, and he has this urge to do real good, and like it's a wholesome movie, and then it's the comedy of errors as they road trip across the country due to purposes revealed throughout the movie. I think that essentially, if you like buddy movies or buddy comedies, it's more that than an action movie. There are only a couple of big action set pieces. But again, if you want to just kind of turn your brain off and have a good time, I think you'll be fine. I think Detective Pikachu still did some more interesting things, even though that movie also had its problems. I'd say for me, the real draw to this is if you grew up playing Sonic and you grew up watching Jim Carrey, that's who this movie is for. Everybody else, like if you don't like if you're not a fan of the Sonic games or you're not a fan of Jim Carrey, like there's not much.
Or
to
you're
recommend.
not under the age of like 12.
Right. There's not a ton to recommend. But like also if you don't dislike either of those things and are just open to a new experience, like it's not the worst movie that's ever been on film. Like there are plenty worse than that. I would still say Justice League and Batman vs Superman are definitely way worse by a long shot. So if you need a bar.
That actually really puts it in perspective because there is that debate of is this as good as Detective Pikachu? Because it is critically maybe not as good, but commercially it's the highest growth, or at least the highest opening for a weekend.
For a video game movie.
I don't know if I'm getting for a video game movie.
I think you're right, yeah.
I don't know if I'm getting all my facts straight there, but it has a bigger launch than Detective Pikachu did.
Yeah, it's doing well in the box office.
But critically, maybe not as impressive as Detective Pikachu was.
Maybe if it is such a critical success, that'll make the sequel that I actually want to see. Because they ended it on a note where I'm like, well, I want to see the sequel more than I wanted to watch this movie. Could we have just done the sequel?
Sure. But I mean, if you're laying the groundwork for a franchise, I like the fact that they kind of created their own start to Sonic's story instead of trying to mimic the comics or the few video games that did have a narrative. I get where that's coming from, especially for kids who are not familiar with the games, but maybe know the character from the cartoons they've seen or what they've seen on TV. I mean, Sonic X aired not that long ago. That was the most recent cartoon. I think that was the mid-2000s or maybe late 2000s. But I think that Detective Pikachu is still my favorite video game movie, but or let's say this. It's the better video game movie. This one I might like more just because of how close I am to it. I don't think that it's a better movie by any means, but it's definitely the best Sonic movie I could have expected to get considering the pieces that were put together. So all that said, I think that, like I said, if you want to go see something that's fun and kind of dumb, go see Sonic. But if you don't have any interest in Sonic whatsoever and don't like the character, skip this one. There's really no reason to see it. You're not missing much.
It's fun. I liked it. It's okay.
So those are my thoughts.
It didn't make me angry. That's how I feel. So I'm solid on it.
I'll take that as a win.
Like it didn't make me go, are you kidding me? What are we doing? It's just James Marsden talking to a tennis ball on a stick that's going to be voiced by Ben Schwartz at some point. It's great. Also, I would love to just highlight Adam Paley's performance. I loved Adam Paley.
Oh yeah,
in this one
as the deputy sheriff.
As the deputy.
Yeah, he was very good.
So cute. I just love Adam Paley.
I mean, he's great.
I think I saw Adam Paley at a George Lucas talk show like a while back.
Oh, maybe that could be.
Yeah, I think so. That feels right. I think that's like when I saw him. I think he was also on the panel with the guy who wrote Men in Black.
That's a possibility. I don't know if he's ever been in those movies.
The George Lucas talk show is such a wonderful and weird, wacky show.
No, I've heard things about it. I've never actually gone to see it.
It's great. It's so good. Griffin Newman does the best Watto impression. I cannot believe it.
I mean, all you have to do is sound like an old Jew. As a Jew, I know that. Like it's a stereotypical performance, just like the viceroys are like played as Asian stereotypes. Like that movie is hella racist. All over the place. Good.
Yikes, bud. Yikes, George.
Yep.
Yikes. What are you doing? But anyway, not to take us too far off the beaten trail, as we are wont to do sometimes. Matt, if you had to describe Sonic the Hedgehog in 3 words, and you can't use Sonic the or Hedgehog, how would you describe this movie about a little blue guy who goes real fast?
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
I love it.
Gotta go
That's
fast.
very cute. Yeah, Case, that's a sentence, Case. Case?
Stop.
Hey, bud.
Stop calling out
Case?
our friend Case. Stop it.
Case?
Leave him alone.
Case.
You're wasting
That's
precious
a
airtime.
sentence. Put it you make it a sentence and you put an exclamation point on it because that's how that 3-word review is formatted.
He's gonna defy you despite you at this point.
He's gonna put like 6 exclamation points between like each of them. I'm so excited.
Alrighty,
Love to
Rachel.
pick on Case. Okay.
What did you bring in this glorious episode of Screen Snark? What is the most recent thing you watched that wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog? I'm assuming
That wasn't Sonic or the Golden Girls, because all I'm doing is binge watching the Golden Girls, and I'm not through with it yet, so I can't.
You can talk about it
fully
once you're
review
done.
it. Yeah, once I'm done. Don't worry. I'm building up the tension for it. Wait till you hear
Exactly.
how much I love those sweet older ladies. But no, in a weird bit of sort of cross podcast synergy, the Infinity podcast, we talked about Sonic for a while, and then we also talked about the movie The Mask of Zorro.
I remember that, yeah.
And because Patrick was so adamant about what a good movie this still was, I had to come back to it. So the last thing that I watched was The Mask of Zorro.
I remember loving that movie.
It's so good.
Like-
It's so good. Like I really was surprised. I know I generally trust Patrick's opinions about movies cuz he's much more acquainted to the craft than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there's still always that moment where it's like, well, this is from, like, the 90s, so who knows? So it's going to be, like, weird. No, it slaps. It slaps so hard. It's my favorite Batman Beyond movie.
I mean,
I'm not
that's
kidding.
essentially what it
It's
is.
so good.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much fun it is and how well choreographed it is. And everybody is just, like, obviously having the time of their lives making this movie. I think like Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones are like at the top of their game. They're just like so energetic and they're so funny and they're just they're so good. And like Anthony Hopkins, just everyone is crushing this movie. And from every moment, from you know, the story beats to even the sound design where explosions sound like tigers. I love this movie. I love this movie.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I actually saw it. It's been a while.
I recommend it highly. It's so fun.
What's the premise? I've never seen it. To be
Okay.
totally clear.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, spoilers for a movie that came out in the 90s. Here
You
it
can
comes.
spoil away.
So it follows the journey of the original Zorro, played by Anthony Hopkins. It starts with his sort of last mission, where he is ousting this really like crappy governor from California who's like super corrupt. And as he completes his last mission, he bumps into two young boys who are brothers. Don't worry, we'll see them again later. And he gets home, original Zorro, Diego, and the governor has found out the identity of this Zorro. So Zorro is taken under arrest through some terrible circumstances. Diego's wife is killed, who the governor was also in love with, and the governor takes Zorro's daughter back to Spain. So you've got Anthony Hopkins with like this vendetta, you know, and so 20 years go by, and the governor returns with his daughter, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, and he plans revenge. But on his way to do revenge, the two little boys that we met at the beginning are all grown up, and they're doing robberies. They're like high-profile robbers. One is played by Antonio Banderas, and the older brother gets killed, and Anthony Hopkins finds Antonio Banderas and trains him to be the new Zorro. So the new Zorro is going to get vengeance on the man who killed his brother. The old Zorro's going to get vengeance on the man who stole his daughter. And all the while, the new Zorro has to learn how to be a gentleman and how to sword fight, and it's pretty much just like a Batman story. Like he's this playboy philanthropist character during the day, but he's like fighting crime in a mask at night. It's very fun.
That sounds super entertaining.
Yeah,
And
feels.
it
It
sounds
felt like a lot to
mashup
explain.
It sounds like a mashup between Batman and a prequel to Taken.
Yeah.
Sure.
Kind of. Yeah. I would say that. Yeah, and it's just brimming with that sort of 90s action sensibility where it's like, here we are, we're in the funny moment. He cuts her dress off. Haha, it's great. but then like the action sequences are very exciting. Banderas, or at least his stunt double, like surfs on 2 horses and jumps over a log.
Oh my
It's
God,
just,
yes.
yeah, it's great. The stunt work is amazing in this movie. I just think it's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's great.
Abu, do you have any familiarity with Zorro at all? Like the old TV show or anything? Wow.
No,
All right.
not at all.
I mean,
that's
it's old.
clearly
I
a
mean,
cultural touchstone that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's probably a combination of it's old and also a combination of I didn't really watch, like, English entertainment until I was, like, a teenager anyway.
Sure.
So I was, like, this was, like, well into the 2000s. And basically everything that's, like, 80s and 90s that my peers grew up on,
Right.
I have totally missed.
Gotcha. Well, this is
And
definitely.
I haven't gone back and caught up on a majority of it. So I actually have these conversations a lot where someone's like, "Oh, I love this movie from the '90s," or like, "I love this old Disney show from the '90s," and I'm just like, "I've never heard of that."
That's fair. I mean, honestly, it's worth going back and watching. I think you might enjoy it more not knowing because this Zorro movie is designed to be a contained story. Like you don't need to know
Yeah.
the legacy to enjoy it.
I'm definitely intrigued.
I mean, I loved Antonio Banderas, especially in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, for me, he's El Mariachi and Zorro. Like, those are the 2 roles. El Mariachi is from Once Upon a Time in Mexico and Desperado.
Such a good film.
And he doesn't play that character in the original movie, El Mariachi. That's played by Robert Rodriguez, who's the director. But in the subsequent 2 movies, it's played by Antonio Banderas. And he's always had this action hero history, even though a lot of the movies he does now are more acting movies, like dramas. Not that you can't act in an action movie, but like he does more dramas now, and it's very easy to forget that he was this big action star for many, many years. And like even X versus Sever, which is much later on in his career too, like there's tons of stuff that he's done. But yeah, when I heard that episode of the Infinity Pod, I really wanted to go back and watch it. Knowing it's on Netflix means I definitely will. But like on that podcast, Patrick brings up how this movie was just like it made him realize what sex was because it was just so steamy. It was so sexy.
Yeah, the chemistry between Catherine Zeta-Jones and Antonio Banderas is palpable. Even when they're like sparring, when they're like,
Yeah.
"You're kind of an asshole," yuck, yuck, yuck. It's still like radiating this like heat and this magnetism, and I just, they're so attractive and they're so into each other, and then they make out like so hard, like it's just
Nice.
like gaping mouth make out that is
Yum.
just like that is not
Delicious.
a comfortable way to kiss, but I get it. Like,
Oh, you mean if I
just
put my face inside your face, that's not
just
comfortable?
like just
Wait, that's not how
I'm
you're
gonna
supposed to- Okay.
I'm gonna eat you from your mouth. That's what's happening. But it's like so spicy. Like I can't
Yummy.
even be mad. Oh, so good. So good, that movie.
Well, Rachel,
Yes.
if you had to rate The Mask of Zorro without using the words mask or Zorro, because you can use the or of, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true, but that's wasteful.
We'll let
That's
you have
wasteful.
those too.
How would you review this movie in just 3 little words? They don't have to be little words. They could be big words too. I'm not.
They could be
biased.
very long words.
Yeah, sure.
I
Why
could
not?
I could use
don't
defenestrate.
judge.
Why not? Who cares? I could do what I want over here.
Did someone get thrown out a window?
No, but it's my favorite multisyllabic word.
It's a good word.
Defenestrate. Yeah,
It's true.
defenestrate's great. You really think I could have used that time to think about how to describe Mask of Zorro? Exciting, sexy action.
Nice. Awesome.
That's I think that sums it up. It's just very fun, and I would highly recommend visiting it for the first time or revisiting it.
Nice. Awesome.
It super holds up. It's super good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's the best Batman Beyond movie I've ever seen. Because it's like the older, wiser guy teaches the younger dude to like take on his mantle.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I just love it.
All I'm hearing is that Antonio Banderas needs to come and play Batman. Is what I'm hearing. I don't care if he's too old. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Do it.
No, he could play like the like Anthony Hopkins kind of Batman. Then he
In
takes
Batman
on like
Beyond,
a young,
Yeah, true.
like a
yeah.
young
Yeah.
That's true.
whoever the Batman Beyond Batman is. I
Terry
forget his
McGinnis.
name.
Terry McGinnis.
Terry
Douglas,
McGinnis.
I
Thank
believe.
you. Like a young Terry McGinnis.
Yeah. I mean, we all know we really want Michael Keaton to play that role because, like,
Yes.
that's
Oh,
destined
absolutely.
to
Without
do
without
that.
question. Yeah.
Hollywood needs to make that Batman Beyond movie. I'll be very mad if in my lifetime they don't, because there's no reason, especially since Michael Keaton's back in comic book movies now as the Vulture and is such a great Vulture. Like,
Yeah.
just do it. Do it,
Yeah.
DC.
He's just teasing us.
He is.
He went
at this
to.
point.
Did you guys know he went to Kent State? And I also went to Kent State.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, he went to Kent State University. He dropped out, which is a very much a theme with Kent
Oh,
State
is it?
University. Anyone who is anyone and goes on to become successful
Dropped
from
out.
Kent State has dropped out and has never actually
Wow.
graduated.
Did you
That's
finish or did
amazing.
you
we
drop
have we have
out?
some. I graduated, so my career is dead at this
You're
point.
done. That's it.
Oh,
You're
no.
screwed.
Exactly. But
Well,
yeah, we
now
have
I
a
have to
couple of
go
famous
enroll in
people, and
Kent
most
State
of them
to
have
drop
either
out.
dropped out or have left and transferred to other better schools. That's the legacy of Kent State. But
Nice.
he
That's
actually came to a
amazing.
commencement speech a couple of years ago. I had already graduated by this point, but I had some friends who went to that commencement speech, and he ended the speech. He did his usual, like, you're about to embark on the greatest journey of your life, yada, yada, right? And then he ended the speech just by getting real close to the mic and whispering, I'm Batman, and then walking off.
Amazing. I
Yeah,
just
there's a
clapped
video of
into
it.
the
You
mic.
can can probably Google Michael Keaton Kent State University commencement.
Sure.
And
I
yeah,
feel like I've
it'd be-
seen that, actually. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
That's very.
so
That's
amazing.
very.
I have a little
cute.
bit of a connection to Michael Keaton there.
Phenomenal. That's amazing. All right. Well, Abu, it's your turn. What have you brought us that you have most recently watched that you want to
Yes.
talk about?
So, Matt, when you had asked me to come to the show ready to talk about something that I watched recently, my first instinct was My Hero Academia. But it sounds like you guys have already talked about it. So I actually called a last minute audible. And I want to talk about this little anime that I just started watching called
Okay,
Carole
fine.
and Tuesday. It's a Netflix show. It's directed by this. He's kind of like a little director, Shinichiro Watanabe.
Okay.
He's done
Yeah.
like some indie
I
flicks
recognize
called
the
like
name.
Cowboy Bebop,
Oh,
Space
yeah.
Dandy.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
he's
know.
like a huge, well-known director, and that's like entirely
Yes.
the reason that I am watching this anime.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a lot of his sort of like hallmark signature touches, right? He does a lot of incredible work with music production. The show is about two young teenagers who are living on Mars, traveling to the big city and trying to pursue a career as musicians, like really trying to hustle out there
Mm-hmm.
Very
and
cool.
launch their careers. And the music production is incredible. Every episode, almost every episode so far, has had some sort of original song, which is very cool.
Oh, I love
And-
that.
and the show is, I believe part 2 just came out, so this is actually sort of a timely discussion. But the show's broken up into 2 parts, 12 episodes each. To be totally transparent, again, I just started watching it this week, and I'm only 6 episodes into part 1. But the show already has a lot of promise. I'm very excited for like what the show holds in the future, because there seem to be seeds of a bigger story in there. So
Cool.
if I can just give you like a very short premise,
Sure.
our 2 main characters, one of them is Tuesday. She comes from an affluent family. Her mom's a politician, and we found out somewhere around episode 2 that her mom's running for president of Mars, I guess, or something.
Cool.
Nice.
But she doesn't want to be involved in any of that. She wants to pursue music, and her mom, in like a very sort of stereotypical way, doesn't want her to pursue music and thinks it's a waste of her time. So she runs away from home and goes to what is called Alba City, but is effectively just the New York of Mars in this TV show.
Nice.
And
Like
then
you do.
and then there in the city, she runs across Carole, who is just performing in the street, and the two sort of strike up a friendship, and then someone gets like a viral clip of them singing together, and it goes viral, and then this like sort of deadbeat manager finds them and is like, hey, I'm going to make you guys the next big hit. And so it's this story of like this ragtag group of extremely lovable characters chasing their dreams. and sort of like the deadbeat manager's trying to get his life back. These two young girls are being introduced to this world of music, and it's not what they expected. So the story is like not particularly like earth-shatteringly unique, but I think it's still endearing. And for someone like me, someone who grew up in small town Ohio, like I said, went to Kent State University and ultimately moved to New York City to chase a dream, I can see a lot of myself in these characters. And that's what is really drawing me into the show, on top of the incredible production value.
Well, and you were saying it's directed by the person who directed Cowboy Bebop, right?
Yeah, it's Watanabe created some of my all-time favorite anime. Cowboy Bebop, of course. He also created Space Dandy, which was
Right. Yeah, I love Space
he just sort of
Dandy.
made
Space
fun of
Dandy
himself.
is
right?
insane.
It's
It's,
so
so
good.
weird and
It's
good.
I just tweeted recently that Space Dandy is like one of the most criminally underrated anime out there.
It really
in my
is.
opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
Space Dandy goes to a place and meets Tron Travolta.
Yeah.
And they have a dance battle and they respect each other at the end. It's perfect.
yeah, and again, like signature Watanabe, Space Dandy has some incredible music. And
Well, yeah.
so much of the stylistic choices in the show are very reminiscent of what he did on Samurai Champloo as well, which is
Yeah.
another one of his shows, which I also love. Like those
Yeah.
three shows are probably guaranteed somewhere in my top 5 anime of all time, right?
Two of them for sure are for me. I think the reason Cowboy Bebop remains my favorite anime of all time, besides the incredible American voice cast and the story, is the music. The music in that and in the movie is so phenomenal. Like all of that jazz. Probably the only reason as a child I got into jazz music is because of that anime. And honestly, that's a stronger pedigree than any. Like, I think the only person I stand more than him is Akira Toriyama, only because like I grew up in the height of Dragon Ball Z fever in America, and that is rooted so deep in my young teenage boy soul. Like I just got DBZ Kakarot on PS4. It was a gift from my spouse, who I love, and like. It's not a complicated or particularly phenomenal game, but it's very Dragon Ball Z, and it's exactly what I want. And like hearing you say these things about Carole and Tuesday and that legacy, like that alone would make me watch this show because of the kind of shows that he's made in the past. I have to watch this thing. I'm super stoked to see this thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, the art style, of course, is incredible, but it's a show, ironically enough, that's in a genre that I have little to no interest in. Like, I'm an extremely tone-deaf person. Music, to me, all sounds basically the same. And, like, I honestly cannot have a discussion about music with anyone because I don't know what to say. I only listen to Childish Gambino.
I mean, that's a good choice. That's not a bad choice.
Not a bad choice by any means.
Gambino's great.
Right,
He's very musically versatile, to be sure. So, but
Yeah,
you could have worse taste.
I could have much worse taste, but
could all be butt rock, and that's
But when it like the premise of the show on its face is honestly not something that I would be interested in. It's a musical genre anime with the premise entirely based off of like bands and artists and musicians and finding your voice. And again, some of these themes are extremely universal, hustling in the big city, being a teenager with big dreams and then walking into a world that's bigger than you expected and sort of having that eye-opening experience of like, oh wow, maybe my dreams were not as like amazing as I wanted. Maybe I want something different out of it. So a lot of the themes are very, very universal, but they're all caked in this layer of like music frosting, and that's just like not my flavor of cake, But again, I trust the director. I adore his previous works, and that's all that was the only thing I needed to at least dive into the show, and now I'm so glad that I did 6 episodes later.
Yeah, you've sold me on it.
Totally.
I have a feeling that I'm gonna get into it when we're done here. That or just rewatch all of Cowboy Bebop. It depends.
That too. I mean, watching Carole and Tuesday just makes me want to rewatch Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop. And honestly, Space Dandy. Like, Space Dandy is such a treat to watch on the first watch because you're like,
so silly.
I have no idea
love
what's
it.
going on, but I'm here for the ride.
Great.
But on a second watch, I feel like I would just be blown away again.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone back to Cowboy Bebop a bunch, though it's been a while. I used to watch it yearly, at least. I would binge
wow.
it, but like, so
Wow.
like I had some traditions that now that there's too much stuff to do have fallen to the wayside. But two things I used to do every year was play through Chrono Trigger and watch all of Cowboy Bebop. And I've not in the last 2 or 3 years done either, just because I'm playing, and part of it is because I'm a psychopath with 4 podcasts, but like I'm so busy doing so many other things. Like, oh, woe is me, I have some stuff I like, but like because there's also so much stuff out there, like I'm often trying to catch up on stuff that I haven't played before or that's brand new to talk about. That I have trouble going back to old stuff. I mean, Rachel and I were recently guests on the Let's Rewatch podcast, and we did Army of Darkness. And I love Bruce Campbell, but I realized when we did that episode, I hadn't watched Army of Darkness in almost a decade. And it was a movie I used to watch all the time. And I think that's just coming from there being so much stuff out there now. But
yeah, and just the fact that everything is so easy to access. There's 5 or 6 major streaming services, and each of them have hundreds and hundreds of titles.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're just like, well, I could revisit this thing that's here and easy for me to get at, or I could try something entirely new. And it kind of just takes.
I would actually be interested to see if there's any statistics into that, because again, isn't The Office like one of the most streamed things in the world? Because people just like keep going back and having it on in the background, like it's a comfort food. You just go back to the show you love over and over again because it's so easily accessible. And like Netflix autoplay feature means you just let it go forever.
Just let it go.
People fall asleep to The Office, which is so incredibly weird to me. But
I don't get it.
I'm actually interested if like streaming services and the availability of so much content has caused like almost this hesitation of wanting to try new stuff when the old stuff that you already know and love is there at your fingertips and you could go back to it anytime. Like I used to rewatch Community every year. Because Community has always been on Hulu, the entire show, start to finish. I could binge it. Yeah. And it's been maybe just like you, Matt, maybe it's been like 2 years since I've watched an episode of Community.
Yeah.
But that used to be like my comfort food. I would just go back and rewatch the show every year.
I did that a lot with Scrubs, but weirdly enough, I did it with Scrubs because I had all of the seasons on DVD.
I used to do the same.
Before streaming, it was just like, well, I've got this DVD. I'm just going to pop it in and start from the beginning. Let's go through it. I think that unless it is something that is like deeply connected to me not to bring up the Golden Girls again, but in the way the Golden Girls are, because like that show is a show that like formed the kind of person that I am in the way that I think in interesting ways, because I watched it at such a young age. Like I was watching it after school. Like kids were watching, Power Rangers at the time, and I was watching Designing Women and the Golden Girls in their back-to-back block on Lifetime. So like for me, going back to that is that I don't really want to commit wholeheartedly to anything, but most of the time, like I'm just scrolling around, like I want to watch something new, even if even if it isn't that great. The live action Aladdin, I'm looking at you.
I think for me, it comes from a younger gamer and a younger media consumer. I didn't mind giant things. I had more free time, finger quotes free time. Like the first time I ever played Skyrim, I did everything like that you could finish because it generates quests. But like now, every time I try and pick up a new play of Skyrim, after like an hour, I stop because I've beaten it and I've done a lot of things. I automatically start thinking about something 30 hours down the line, and I'm like, oh, but I have to do all this stuff to get to that. I don't want to do it. It's why I've been playing more linear video games. Like I just finished Owlboy because it's an 11-hour indie game, pretty linear, not a lot of divergence. So I feel like it's a more controlled experience that I can wrap my brain around. And same with like...
Yeah, it's not a Fire Emblem with its DLC. Damn it, Ashen Wolves, I love you.
But it's
Sweet
also...
babies.
With media, I think it's the same thing. Like I can't be watching... a lot of shows at once. Like right now, I'm watching for the first time the new DuckTales. I'm making my way finally through Bob's Burgers and a few other things. But like, I could start 8 other shows too if I wanted, but I can't bring myself to do it because then I'm afraid I won't go back or I'll get lost or I'll forget what happened. and like it's just so frustrating. And I, honestly, Carole and Tuesday has dropped to the top of my list because it's something I think I can bank on because of the pedigree, and that honestly informs me more than anything else. Like the reason I watched the new DuckTales is because of the voice cast: Ben Schwartz, David Tennant, Lin-Manuel Miranda. A bunch of folks from SNL. Like it's got this legacy already behind it that I was like, all right, I want to watch
Kate
this thing.
McCucci.
Kate McCucci as Webby. And so because of all of that, like I'm more inclined to watch that because it has that legacy of even creators that I like. But all of this,
I'm actually curious. Do you, if I can ask a quick question, I'm curious. Do you think there's something lost in that idea of I need to? So I think about this a lot. Actually, I do the same thing that you do, Matt. I limit myself to maybe watching just one or two shows at the same time, reading one or two books at the same time, and I don't oversaturate like my media and entertainment consumption because I want to give the thing that I'm currently reading or watching just like give it justice, like give it the time it deserves, and really like let it sink in. But that also means I have a lot of like paralysis when it comes to starting a new thing. And I always bank on like, okay, I read an Amazon review that said this book was good, so I'll try it. Or I Googled best sci-fi TV shows on Netflix, and then I picked from that list. Do you think there's like I feel like when I was a kid, I used to go to the library and just be like, this book right here. And I knew nothing about the author, knew nothing about the premise, never had heard of it before. And I would read it and it have like an entirely new, totally novel experience. And like in this day and age, I can't get a book without looking up reviews first. I can't watch a TV show without like understanding, at least watching the trailer or understanding like the voice actors that are in it, the actors that are in it, someone who directed it. Like I have to already have a connection to make that jump to watching it. And I feel like I lose some of the totally 100% novel. Like I clicked on this thing because it was like the one of 12 options I had, and I've never heard of this before.
I think for me, so I would say I'm more like you, Abu. So like, for example, I brought Seis Manos on this show, which is a Netflix anime that I loved. The reason I watched it is because a previous guest, Chuck Collins, who does a comic online, recommended it and drew an homage to the characters on his Twitter, and I was like, all right, well, if he's watching the show, I've got to check it out because he's got really good taste. Like, same with games. Like, now, I used to just buy whatever game I wanted, but now because they're so much more expensive, I have so much less time, and I try not to buy a ton of games that I'm not going to play. I will look up reviewers like Patrick Klepek or previous guest Rebecca Valentine or, media people within games that I trust and see what they think of a game, because that'll go further for me than just now. And that said, there are things that I will venture out on my own for, and I will go out of my way to play on my own, but they're a lot less common now. I am definitely more influenced by the other folks in media that I know. And I think it's the same for TV and movies too. Like Sonic, I probably would have seen no matter what the reviews were because I'm a fan already. So that's totally me. But whereas there are a lot of dramas that I've seen recently, like Hidden Figures and Moonlight, looked awesome, but I don't know. But I wouldn't have gone to the theater to see Hidden Figures. But when my spouse said, "Oh, we should watch this movie. It's really great," and we watched it and I loved it, like I was more inclined to do it. I think I'm kind of in the same space you are, Abu.
I would say for me, I kind of just like stumble upon things very organically unless they have like a lot of like discourse around them. I feel that I just kind of go, well, that looks weird and interesting. I'll give that a try, especially now that like I have a Funimation account. It's just like, okay, here's this weird one called Zombieland Saga. I'll try it, whatever. But yeah, so I think it's just stuff that has, I guess, sort of like a point of discussion is very relevant to what I will see. And I think now that I spend a lot of time around like film Twitter and stuff, it kind of changed like what I'm participating in, because I do want to participate in the community aspect. Like I really wanted to see Parasite, like really, really badly. because it looked crazy, but it was one of those, I don't know if I want to like go to the movie, you know, like usually I just go for like the thrill ride movies that are just like a bunch of big punchy CGI dudes. But after hearing so much discussion about how incredible Parasite is, I was like, I have to go see this movie. And it was absolutely worth the watch. Obviously, like a bunch of really smart film people can't be wrong about how great that movie is.
Right.
Sure.
But yeah, I think you want to spend time participating in things that can help attribute you to being in a community, you know, like
Yeah.
the discourse TM, love it or hate it, probably hate it, but it is kind of that interesting factor where you do lean on the people you trust for their opinions about things.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a lot of how I approach stuff. If I'm not just like sitting there with like a remote in my hand, just going, I don't know what's on. Let's watch this one about being reincarnated into slime. I don't know. That's weird.
And the nice thing is, thanks to the internet, there are niche communities for everything you could possibly want. You know, like you
That's
just
true.
have to go and find them.
That's true. Yeah. We've come a long way from Carole
Yes,
and Tuesday,
we-
but I'm going to
we
bring it
have,
back.
wow.
I'm going to bring it
thank
back.
you. Reel it back in, Matt Storm.
Abu, if you had to sum up Carole and Tuesday without the words Carole or Tuesday in a 3-word
boy.
review, and it doesn't have to be
Tough.
a sentence, it can just be any 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Big city dreams.
Nice.
Big City
Excellent.
Dreams.
Love it.
I know it doesn't have to be a
like it.
sentence, but I think like that is the core of the show.
Uh-huh.
And that is what drew me to it personally, because I saw, again, so much of myself in the main characters and in the story and sort of the adventure that they're going through. And I think that really summarizes the show. Like it
sounds...
Again, you can go into the show totally 100% trusting that Watanabe is bringing his talents to it. It's
Right.
going to look great. It's going to sound great. The characters are going to be adorable. You're going to want to cheer for them. The writing is going to be great. All of those things are there. And if you still are not sold on the show, I think Big City Dreams is what it's about. It's this universal theme that I think anyone who's young and hungry and is out there hustling can relate to.
That's great.
Awesome.
It sounds a lot like the recent Gem and the Holograms comic run.
Okay.
It's great.
Not read it, but I believe you.
Yeah, no, it definitely has that aesthetic of like these are really lovable characters, really just trying to figure it out. So I'm sold. I'm sold on Carole and Tuesday.
Amazing. I want to bring it back around to Abu, the man of the hour.
Yeah.
So, as I said earlier, I met Abu through the video game podcast world. Both really big Mass Effect fans. Abu was on this current season of Reignite. Abu, why don't you start by talking a little bit about what Lore Party is, the podcast network, and then kind of how it started, how it came to be.
Yeah, of course. So the network right now is 3 shows. We have our flagship show, Lore Party. That's the one, Matt, that you were a guest on for our Mass Effect episodes that we did. And then we have our secondary sort of mini bite-sized show called Minigame, and that's hosted by our producer, Michael Ferris. He will do short, 5 to 10 minute essays where he will take a little very critical and personal look at a game that has affected him and why it's affected him. And then the third show is our most recent one, is called Winds Howling, and that is a companion podcast to the Witcher TV show on Netflix. So my co-host Brett and I did a deep dive into every single episode of the show. We just completed the first season a few weeks back, and so now you can watch the Netflix show in its entirety, and then in between episodes you can listen to us break it down, compare it to the source material, and really share our thoughts and critical analysis on it. So those are the 3 shows that we currently have on our network. The premise of the network is that we want to celebrate storytelling in all its mediums, but in particular when it comes to video games and geek culture. And we focus primarily on storytelling. So again, Lore Party is our flagship show, and it's about video games. But we've drawn a line in the sand we don't do gameplay talk, we don't do reviews, we're not going to talk about industry news or upcoming titles. We're only focused on the story, and that keeps us hyper focused on the characters, the themes, the worlds that we just love diving into time and time again. And I think that's something we want to celebrate, that's something we want to geek out about and really share with our listeners. And honestly, it's something that we love. Like, that's why we as a team at Lore Party love gaming. It's what draws us to gaming, and we want to share that with the world.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I love that.
I think what drew me to it, what is that I love a good story. And while I can play games that don't have much of a story, whatever your MMO of the day is, even though they do have lore, but like it's kind of obscured in the mechanics of it. But we were talking about Sonic earlier. The original Sonic the Hedgehog has not much of a story. Save the animals, be it Robotnik. But there's lore to dive into if you wanted to. And what I love about what you guys do, I think my favorite recent episode was the Kerrigan episode you did. For those who don't know, Kerrigan is a character within StarCraft who started out as a human, a ghost, which is a character class, and then got abducted by the Zerg, which are the alien race within StarCraft, and ended up becoming the queen of the Zerg. And like her relationships to the other human characters and like how she ended up and her finding her freedom, like just discussing that entire story. You can get that story from playing the games, but I for one didn't love StarCraft 2, so like I didn't play a ton of it. So to hear you guys discuss the story and get it from you guys, because I never finished the playthrough of StarCraft 2, was really fun and really great because you handle it with such care. You have such an attention to detail. You also don't overlook problems within a story. You'll call out not necessarily bullshit, but like if you see stuff like something sexist or homophobic or whatever, or something seems questionable or not right, or like you won't necessarily look to rewrite it, but you'll discuss it and break it down. And you've even done that. I haven't listened to all of the Witcher podcast because I haven't finished the series, but I listened to the first 3 episodes, I believe. And you do that there too. Like you pay attention with a certain level of care. Is that really important to you guys? I'm gonna guess yes, but is that really important for you to dive in that deep and make sure you also acknowledge the problems as well as the successes?
Yeah, I think when we first started the show, so to talk a little bit about the origin story of the show, it ironically enough the idea of it was planted in my brain as soon as I finished The Witcher and all of its expansions, The Witcher 3. And I was like, oh, wow, that was such an incredible ride. It took me like 107 hours to complete the game and the expansions. And I was like, wow, I bet there's so much content out there about the themes and the characters that I met along this adventure. I'm going to go listen to it. And then I tried to go find it. And all I could find was like, listen to our Witcher review.
Right.
And like, we're going to talk about how Witcher changed the industry and like set a new bar for RPGs. And like, all of that is important. Those are conversations that should be happening, and The Witcher did do those things. But I'm more concerned with Geralt and Shani's relationship in Hearts of Stone. I'm more concerned with the choices that Geralt made in Blood and Wine and what that means for like the world, or what it means for the future of the Witchers. And like none of those discussions were taking place in the podcasting world when it pertains to video games. So I saw an opportunity, and I got a bunch of my geeky friends together, and we discussed our plans to launch Lore Party, our flagship show. And I think to circle back to your point of like, we're very detail oriented, and we try to be as meticulous as possible. Those are 2 sort of core pillars that we decided on very early. We never do an episode just because we want to. We do an episode because there's something to say or discover or explore. And then we never also do an episode on a whim or without without like heavy research, and every episode is extremely meticulously outlined. So to give you a little like behind the scenes look at our Witcher podcast, my co-host Brett and I, on average, our scripts and our notes for one episode of the show were 4 to 6 pages long.
Wow.
And that's bullet points. That's like things we want to call out. That's, researching exact quotations from the books that we want to remember to mention at some point in the show. And that's the approach we have to everything across our network. All of our shows are meticulously outlined and researched and scripted because we don't want to get something wrong, basically. You know, like I'm a journalist by day, and there's just this fact checking habit where I just don't think we have any sort of authority if we don't speak with authority. And we have to make sure that everything we say is true, is factual, has been fact checked, and that when our listeners come to us, they can trust that we know what we're talking about and that we are
Very
experts
cool.
on whatever topic we are discussing. So that's a core pillar that we agreed on from day one of the show, was we do nothing without research and a certain level of expertise.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. I do have a question. While doing this podcast, Lore Party, was there a particular video game that you came across that you just were kind of like, oh, this is interesting, that sort of surprised you and became a topic?
I think Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
So Stardew Valley is, on its surface, a seemingly basic game, right? It's a farming simulator. Maybe it's a light RPG life simulator, really in the vein of Harvest Moon. And I grew up loving and playing a ton of Harvest Moon. That was the game that was like, aside from Pokemon Snap, that was the game for me and my sister. We just played that all the time together. And seeing Stardew Valley, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I get to like just go on a bit of a nostalgia trip and farm again and relive some of my childhood. And then I started playing the game, and you meet the characters, and you learn more about the world, and you realize that a war took place in this world, because there's hints of that all over the place. And you realize one of the characters is maybe God, and you're just like, there's so much more depth to this game than I initially realized. And that eventually became a series on Lore Party, where we did, I think, 4 or 5 episodes about multiple aspects of the lore.
I love that. I was very surprised by Stardew Valley as well. I remember when I first opened it, when you meet your grandfather and he gives you this farm, I was just like, it's so beautiful. I cried in the first 30 seconds of Stardew Valley. If that's not good storytelling, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I love Stardew Valley as well. Yeah, it's funny. I think what's really interesting about the time we're in now with storytelling, both in games and in TV and movies, is that you can do a lot with a little. I mean, like with the reemergence of sprite-based art and like a lot of retro stuff. Like if you listen to my gaming podcast that's not Reignite, Fun and Games, if you did a shot every time we talked about Shovel Knight, you'd die because we talk about it a lot. But like Shovel Knight is one of those games that could have run, like looks like it could have run on a Super Nintendo, but couldn't have just because of the tech. But like it's the graphics, the gameplay, the storytelling. I mean, again, I mentioned Owlboy earlier. Like there's no voice acting. It's all text based. It's sprite art, and the lead character is a mute, but is still one of the most communicative characters ever, even though he doesn't speak, because of the way the art is designed of his face and like his body language. And this isn't a sprite based game. Like it's why, like talking about Sonic earlier, I think the movie was a success for me. Because Sonic was super expressive, the redesign was done well, and he looked really good. And
it's a good looking Sonic.
And had it been the old Sonic, which I didn't hate it. I didn't think it looked as good as what we got, but like I think that one wasn't quite as expressive. Whereas this one, because it was similar to what the people who know Sonic looked like, but also expressive and original enough that it was like somewhere in between. You can connect to that kind of stuff. And I think also when discussing story, that's important too. And I would agree that Stardew Valley is one of those games where you're like, I'm going to play a farming sim. I'm going to just grow some vegetables. And then so much other stuff happens between the relationships between the characters. Like it's one of the only games I know where you can literally have a relationship with anybody. Like queerness is super transparent because like, there's no restrictions to who you can date and who you can be a part of, like whose life you can be a part of, which I think is really, really awesome and important to that story.
Or how many of them you can date at the same time.
Exactly. Like it doesn't stop that either. Like you don't have to have one relationship. Yeah, no, I love that. Abu, besides Lore Party and the Lore Party Network, I know you do some other stuff too. You work in video and you're part of some other websites. Tell the listener a little bit about some of the other projects you work on outside of Lore Party.
Well, honestly, at the moment, it's primarily Lore Party.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Right now, Lore Party between the three shows. We release episodes twice a week, every Monday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And between the three shows and all the editing and prep work and recording, all of that production process, I'm quite busy. Podcasting is no easy feat, as you well know.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it is, eventually it becomes a part-time job and then some. And in addition to my, day job as well, that's basically all I do all day, every day now. So I honestly, that's the only thing I have to plug is
Oh, okay, cool.
Lore Party. You can find us on loreparty.com and find our shows on any and every podcast platform. But I would love for your listeners to come check us out because I think they'd enjoy it.
Awesome. That's great.
I think they would too. I think I'm gonna check it out.
Look,
Nice.
that's great.
I love
You
stories.
got at least
But
one new
I'm-
fan.
Yeah, there you go. Because that's the thing that I love about gaming so much that has been difficult for me to partake in because I don't have the traditional like video game skills. Like I'm still stuck on a moving platform in Portal and I'll probably never get past it, but I know Portal has such a good story that I just like love it. And I'm one of those weirdos who's so grateful for people who do Let's Plays.
Yeah.
Because like even if they're
yeah.
like offering like a color commentary, I'm at least still getting to experience a storyline, which is lovely. But now I have a boyfriend who's good at video games, so he's my Let's Play person. So,
Nice. There you go.
because there is something so great about these interactive stories that you have control over. I think it's so evocative and so important. Like if movies are an empathy generating machine, playing a video game makes you the empathy generating machine.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a powerful medium, and that's sort of another core principle of Lore Party, this idea that video games can be so extremely powerful, and just like you said, mediums for creating empathy. There's an episode we did, and I promise this is the last time I'll plug something, but there's an
No,
episode
plug
we
as
did on
much as you want.
minigame.
It's fine.
Plug away.
Michael did this incredible minigame episode about a game called Bury Me My Love. It's a small indie game.
I have a copy of that and I want to play it so badly.
You must.
I will.
I had never heard of this game before Michael did his minigame episode about it. And the episode nearly brought me to tears because it's a game. The entire premise of the game is that you are a Syrian man who has left Syria, but you're texting your wife who is currently in the process of leaving Syria, leaving war-torn Syria, and you're texting her and you're getting like daily updates about her travel and how she is trying to get smuggled out of the country and the danger she runs into. And there's like a real sense of panic when you'll text her and the last thing she said was, "Oh, I'm going to go talk to this shady guy who promises that there's a boat crossing this river tonight." And then you don't get a response for like 18 hours and you're like, what the fuck happened? And I think like that more than anything the news could show us, more than anything that like the most beautiful, well-directed documentary could show us, is the best way to experience some of the horrors that refugees across the world, and particularly as it relates to that game in Syria, go through. You will never know what it feels like to have a family member trying to escape a war-torn country until you sort of put yourself in those shoes, and the game puts you in that situation. And again, that's just not something that a book or TV could achieve. Only a video game could do that to that extent.
For sure. I think that's why, like we always like to talk about with video game movies, why don't they succeed? And I think a big part of it, and someone way smarter than me said it, and I'm just repeating it, when you have a medium that's based around interacting completely, even a walking sim, you're still interacting, and you want to take that's the point of it, and take that away to put it on screen, there's always going to be a giant gap, right? Like Sonic was never going to work like the video game, because the reason the video game works is the interactivity that you have. Like, they had to reshape that story or create a new one to make it work for a movie, because you can't do the same thing. Like, I know a lot of people really want a Mass Effect movie, and while I'm not against it, I think you could probably do it really well. The problem is the Mass Effect games are 30 hours a piece or more, to condense that into one movie, even one game into one movie, you have to cut out a lot of stuff. And something as personal as Mass Effect, whereas the game, the reason you love it so much is because you can create a character that looks like you. You can make decisions like you would make decisions. And the minute you take that away and put it on screen, you're going to lose a lot.
Do you want to hear how I think a Mass Effect film could work? Even though I've never played a Mass Effect game,
Sure.
I think it needs to do a similar thing like what the Mando does for Star Wars, where it's in the world, but it's not directly like Shepard.
Absolutely.
You know, like it's another insular character. You know, like the one that if you let them die, maybe their story, like how do they get here? And then if you play the game, you know that this character dies depending on your choices. So like getting more into the lore behind the characters you get to interact with. I think that would make a solid Mass Effect movie.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, the comic books that have come out all take place either between games or like while Shepard is indisposed. So like you're definitely not wrong. I think it's why
I'm often not wrong.
I mean, I think it's why Andromeda struggled a little bit, because you were telling a story that wasn't Shepard. And even though they set it in a different time period, it's hard to, once you have a character so personal, it's the same reason I don't think Skyrim would work as a movie, even though I think it would be beautiful as a movie or a TV series, is because the Dragonborn is whatever you want it to be. But in Hollywood, they're going to make the Dragonborn a human male, probably.
Yeah, it's going to be Matt Damon, and you're like, Matt Damon is not who I thought my Dragonborn was.
Unless you made your Dragonborn to look like Matt Damon, in which case, good for you. Or unless you are Matt Damon and played Skyrim, which also could be possible.
So that movie will only work for one person, and that's Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
And that's...
Listen, we should just make more movies for Matt Damon.
Sure, why not?
Like, to be real,
he's
I'm
great. I'm concerned he's not getting enough content that speaks to him.
Yeah, I
on
think
his
so
level,
Well, I think that everyone listening should definitely go check out Lore Party. Go to loreparty.com. My wonderful co-host, MJ, was on a episode about Reignite. I will at some point be on an episode. It's funny. I've spoken to Caleb many times about many different games, and yet we have never settled on doing something. And we'll
get there.
And I think it's like, so I'm shouting out Caleb, who I've been talking to a lot. I talk to him a lot on the Discord server, but who's one of the members of the Lore Party team. We were originally going to try and do a Fire Emblem episode, and then we talked about Three Houses and went, but what would we talk about? I mean, there's so much, and like, it's just, I think what I love about your network is that everyone takes it so seriously, is not afraid to have fun. You always have bits at the beginning of episodes and stuff, but like, you take the craft of it so seriously. You want to create content that is true to the game you're talking about. You don't want to do disservice to the fans of that game, especially since you're so diverse and talk about all kinds of games. I'm happy to wait to come on an episode where I know we're going to talk about something that not only do I really love, but that everyone on the episode really loves and can get really in depth with,
Right. Clearly, we have to have you on for a Sonic episode.
I mean, I feel like, yes, please.
Based on our discussion today.
Look, I can talk about the original adventures of cartoon. I could talk about the Sat AM cartoon. I could talk about how the Sat AM cartoon is the biggest influence on Sonic Spinball, a game that you thought had no story, but actually has one of the more in-depth stories of any of the Sonic games. Wow. Anyway, all that aside, Abu, this has been a blast.
Thank you, Abu.
I've had so much fun, guys.
Please tell people where they can find you and Lore Party on the internet just one more time.
So one more time, you can find the Lore Party Podcast Network on loreparty.com. Links to all of our shows. You can find all our episodes there as well. You can find all of our shows specifically on any podcast platform. So just search Lore Party on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. And then you can find us on social media at lore_party. We're on Twitter and we're on Instagram. That's where you're going to get the latest announcements from us and teasers for any fun projects we might be working on.
Awesome. We have one final question for you. But before we get to that, we're going to do a little housekeeping. Rachel, if you please.
Yes. First and foremost, thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Rimble. Also, quick note, I got an email from John Presnell. He's got some new stuff out, so get over to his YouTube channel and check out what he's doing, because he's just like crushing it. So thank you. Go check out John Presnell.
Do that, and he will someday be on this show. He will be on this very show. Someday. Also, I'd like to thank Katie Bug for our awesome logo design. I also want to thank Case Aiken for our t-shirt designs.
Yes, thank you, Case.
Both of you are superstars, and we love you. Also, you
Yes, I was going to say thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for allowing us to continue to be on our bullshit, despite me shouting at Case all the time.
All the time. Literally all the time.
All the time.
Case has
I
no
have
power
to.
here. It's fine.
Case has the most power.
No,
here,
it's true.
'cause
He really
could
does.
fire us at any moment.
He could.
Probably mostly me.
If you go to certainpov.com, you can actually join our Discord server.
Yeah.
We have a perma link to that. Also, Vor Party also has their own Discord server. Me and MJ are over there,
Yes.
so you should go join that as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go join that and drop my Fire Emblem Golden Girls take.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do
please
it.
do. Caleb
Yeah.
will love that.
Listen, with the new DLC of Fire Emblem out, now there are 4 of them, and I was like, that's Dorothy, that's Rose, that's Blanche, that's Sophia. Done. Easy. Are you kidding me? Jeez.
Also, please take a moment and rate and review us on your preferred podcast player of choice. iTunes helps the most. If you give us a 5-star review and some kind words, we can have a chance to get featured and found by more people, because at the end of the day, this is a conversation about media, and we love involving all of you. So go to Discord, go to Apple Podcasts,
Yes.
and check out all that stuff. But now, Rachel, will you please ask our guest the final question we ask all our guests?
I will. I also just want to say thank you to Abu so much, because what a trooper, standing this whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
recording
every-
so.
I've felt so guilty because I'm just sitting in a chair, just like
Oh no, I
chilling
record everything
out.
standing up. I feel like it makes
It's
me
amazing.
more active and
It's like-
vocal, and yeah.
It's like good standing energy for
Nice.
sure. But yeah, thank you so much. So the final question is relevant to your story interests. In the world of film and television, we have encountered various shorthands, also called tropes. We love a good trope. But my question for you is, if you could choose any one trope from movies or TV to magically become true in your life, what trope would you choose?
Oh man, so many to choose from. You know what's weird? My first instinct, I didn't realize you were going to ask what trope you want to happen in real life. I thought you were going to ask what trope do you want to go away. And
This one magically becomes a part of your
my
life.
answer originally was going to be the Batman, like, my parents are dead. That's my motivation trope of like,
Yeah.
some relation to me died, and I, let's see. I think the trope that I would love. I've been reading the Attack on Titan manga because I just can't wait for the season to come out, for the new season to come out.
So exciting.
And the trope that I would just absolutely love is when, and this is not a spoiler, so don't worry about anyone who hasn't read the manga. This all happened in the TV show, so if you're caught up on that. But I would love the trope of being the main character who thought he was nobody and realizes he's actually like basically royalty.
Like
The most somebody.
the most
So-
somebody.
Like exactly, go from literally nobody to being like the one somebody, that matters the most in that world. And I would
love
just love
that.
that trope. I would love to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh yeah, like I am related to, like, I don't know, the Queen of England, and Harry and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name.
William. No.
They just left the royal family. What is their name?
Meghan Markle.
Megan.
Megan,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I would love to wake up one day and just realize that I'm related to the royal family in Great Britain, and that I will take all the lands that Meghan Markle is giving up. So, like that would be a great trope to wake up to.
That's
Yes,
amazing.
the good old Princess Diaries trope. Turns out I was secretly a royal the whole time.
Yeah, make me a princess.
There you go. Do it. Anybody can be a princess. Excellent. Well, thank you again, Abu, for being on the show.
Thank you,
This has
Abu.
been a
Of course.
blast. Go check out Lore Party. Thank you to my dear co-host, Rachel Quirky Shank.
Thank you to my dear co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you to say. And thank you, loyal listener. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Bye.